Hi, good morning again, everybody. Um, that was exciting. I was having some technical difficulties here. I've got a little echo. Hold on just one second. Okay, so my camera broke, so I had to switch computers. So here we are. Thank you for anybody who hung in there to watch the broadcast. So now I've got audio. I didn't have audio when I started off. So good morning. It is Saturday, May 17th, and we are definitely in the height of migration season. Lots of people are reporting all kinds of different fun birds coming to their backyards, especially warblers. There's been so many reports of warblers this week. So I will show you which ones people are reporting in some big numbers, how you can attract them to your backyard. We'll share some of your photos. And as always, if you have any sightings, absolutely put those in the comments. If you have questions, you can throw those in there too, or you can just say hi. If you are local to the area, we do have some different things going on this week and this weekend, including a plant sale today, which is going strong right now. Michael Hannon is here for his first plant sale of the year. Usually we have one in April, but the weather was really bad and it was very, very cold, so it wasn't really gardening time. So he is here today for his first plant sale of the year. He'll be here until 4 p.m. or he might leave earlier if everything sells out, but we have that going on today here in the front of the store. So stop on in to see that. Also, today is the last day to submit your artwork for the Put a Bird on It exhibition that we are doing with Lumiere Photo. And those submissions go directly to Lumiere. They're there till 2 o'clock today. You can submit any kind of bird artwork that can hang on a wall. There's a $10 submission fee. And the art show will be on the first Friday of June over at Lumiere. So we will be there for that. And we will promote that a little bit more as we get closer to that. So today is the last day for the work to be submitted for that art show. Also, for the first time ever, we are having a feeder cleaning clinic on Sunday. So this is the first one we've ever had before. My formatting's a little off here from switching computers, but that is going to be tomorrow, which is Sunday the 18th from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. You can bring in any bird feeders that you want to have cleaned for free. We will show you how to take them apart, how to clean them, so you know all the dynamics of them and how to do it. So that is our feeder cleaning clinic is happening this Sunday from 10 till 2, and there's no limit on the number of feeders that you can bring in. Also this week, our birding cruises start. Our first one, which is this week on Tuesday, is sold out, but we do have space on one more of our spring birding cruises, which is the Colonial Bell Cruise on the 29th. There are still some tickets available for that. All the other spring birding cruises are sold out. There's a couple tickets, I think, left for July, but July is almost sold out. August and September still have tickets left as well. So we are doing birding cruises again this year, which were super, super popular the last time we did them. And those start this week. So that'll be exciting. But getting into spring migration, we've been talking about spring migration, and last Saturday went kind of took a deeper dive into all the different warblers that you could see, at least in this area, in the upstate New York area, and they are definitely coming through. So I'll go over some of those again and share your photos and share with you which ones people are really, really seeing in their backyards right now. If you're hearing something new that you've never heard before in your yard, I highly suggest getting that Merlin app and listening to what birds are calling, because there's lots out there. So spring migration, we are in full swing. And this month, at least where I am in Monroe County, we have up to 238 different species that you can see here just in this 1 month alone. So it's a really, really great time of the year for bird watching. A lot of these birds are migrating back from Central and South America, and they're making their debut up here into the upstate New York area. So migration has been a little bit spotty here and there due to weather and things, but it's been pretty strong. And on Thursday it seemed like a really big push because all of a sudden people were getting their first hummingbirds. They were seeing more orioles, and those warblers were singing like crazy, and they continue to. So looking ahead, it looks like there is going to still be some migration activity, especially in the Midwest. Lots and lots of migration activity. It'll slow down for a couple days, but there's still new things showing up at people's backyards and in the area every day. So we've got lots of reports still of white-crowned sparrows, and I've been seeing those still in my backyard, as well as white-throated sparrows. Here's a couple photos of those two birds. The white-crowned sparrow, quite large and gray, and they have the striped crown, the black and white striped crown on the top of their head. White-throated sparrows also have that striped crown, but they have that little yellow patch between their eye and their bill, and most of the time they'll have a bright white throat patch as well. So keep an eye out for white-throated sparrows. I know you guys have been getting both the white-throated and the white-crowned sparrows. They are still flowing through, and a lot of them are still singing too. We definitely have reports still of rose-breasted grosbeaks. For some people, including myself, they seem to have moved on, but some people are just starting to get them for the first time. So if you're trying to attract the rose-breasted grosbeaks, they really like any kind of feeder that your cardinals are coming to. So they like anything with a lot of perching room. Here's one on a suet feeder, which is not very, very common, but will happen, especially if they're hungry for migration. A lot of birds will eat suet. But rose-breasted grosbeaks tend to like feeders with lots of perching room, so a nice platform or a tray feeder is ideal. And they like sunflower seeds, they like safflower. So our Cardinal Elite mix or our chickadee mix is perfect for these rose-breasted grosbeaks. So here's a female rose-breasted grosbeak. So the males are black and white with that bright red breast, and then the females kind of look like a giant sparrow with that really distinctive eye stripe. Here's a photo sent in by Edward of a female rose-breasted grosbeak. And then here's some photos from Mark of the male and the female, and you can really see some of the definition of what they look like there. So rose-breasted grosbeaks are still hanging around. Then Mark had been sending in photos of some things at his feeders, including things like pine siskin. If you have a goldfinch feeder, not only look for those bright goldfinches, but also the more stripy pine siskins. You might also be getting house sparrows coming to those feeders. But the pine siskins will have very stripy plumage. They have a very sharp bill, and then they also have kind of a yellowish wash on the feathers, which you can see here from this photo sent in by Mark. And also indigo buntings. Just this morning, a customer had photos of an indigo bunting at her feeder. So indigo buntings are definitely rolling through. Been hearing reports of people picking them up on Merlin. So they will also sometimes come to Niger feeders like the finches do. They like the smaller seeds, so they'll eat Niger, they'll eat millet. They'll also eat things like sunflower hearts and sunflower seeds. So keep an eye out for the indigo buntings as well. And definitely orioles are back. Some people had them for a few days and they kind of disappeared, and now they're just getting more coming. So they're still flowing through. And if you haven't gotten any yet, don't get discouraged yet. There's still time for them to establish their territories and to find their food sources. So orioles are definitely coming back into the area. Keep an eye out on flowering trees. If you have any flowering trees around, you might see those orioles bopping around in the flowers, same like warblers, as they're getting nectar from the blooms and eating the insects that are attracted to the flowers in the trees. And of course, they will eat the grape jelly. That seems to be their favorite out of everything. They will eat grape jelly, they will eat oranges, and they'll also drink nectar like a hummingbird. So definitely lots of reports of orioles coming in. We are fully stocked with jelly for them. We have the birdberry jelly, which is super popular. It's a mix of grape and blackberry, which they absolutely love. We have the bird jelly from Lizzie May, which is our birdseed supplier. We just got in the sweet jelly from the Sweet Seed Company. If you're familiar with their nectar, they have a jelly that just came out, and we just got that in. So we are fully stocked with all kinds of jelly that you can use to feed your orioles. And we also have the nectar too, not only for the orioles, but for the hummingbirds. So also keep an eye out for those gray catbirds. Definitely lots of gray catbirds around, and they will come to oriole feeders to eat the jelly and the oranges. And hummingbirds we're getting kind of spotty reports on. I have seen 2 so far this year, but neither were at my feeders. Both were well doing bird walks. We did a bird walk over at Whitehaven Park on Tuesday, and we were very lucky to see a little tiny hummingbird fly into a branch and sit there for a while. So hummingbirds are coming back, but they've been kind of spotty as far as reports go in people's yards. But again, still kind of early in the season. Don't get discouraged if you haven't seen one yet. They're coming in still. And scarlet tanager, this time of the year is when we do get reports sometimes of scarlet tanager coming to backyards. And they're going to be attracted to the same things the warblers are, which I'll get to next. So if you are trying to get some of these warblers that are high up in your trees to come down a little bit closer to the ground, a little bit closer to eye level, here are some things that you can do. First of all, you might want to see if there's any warblers around. And Mark had sent in a comment the other day that said, I used my Merlin ID and 4 different warblers popped up. Crazy what's in your own backyard. And that is very true. We're hearing those reports from lots of people. And one way that you can attract warblers is with water. So water is a really great way to attract a diversity of birds, because not all birds will come to feeders or nest in houses, but they all need some kind of water. And moving water, which we will see coming up, is fabulous for the warblers. So if you have a bird bath set up, you can turn it into a moving water feature by adding one of these solar fountain inserts like this picture shows here with that blue bird bath. There's one inside. And so those solar fountain inserts, you just put it in your bird bath. When the sun hits it, it will make the water move. It's attached to a pump, and that water will be a fountain. You can make it a little bubbler. And moving water can definitely attract warblers. So warblers don't really nest in houses. There's one called the prothonotary warbler that is a cavity nester, so they will nest in birdhouses. But for the most part, warblers will make a nest just in trees and shrubs and things like that. So you can't really attract them very well with houses, but the water is a really good way to attract them. And these photos were just sent in this morning from Lee, who says, I spotted 3 new lifers for me on Thursday at my little backyard pond. My haiku box and Merlin picked up 5 different warblers in the morning. I was able to get a picture of 3 of them. The Tennessee and bay-breasted were bathing and drinking in the pond, and the chestnut-sided warbler was waiting in a nearby bush. I wasn't able to spot the yellow and the black-polled warblers, maybe today. And so it sounds like Lee also has a haiku box, which is a little different from the Merlin ID. The Merlin ID is an app on your phone. So how that works is when you hear a bird, you pull up the app, and it'll listen to what bird it is hearing, and it'll give you a list. The haiku box is different because that is a plug-in device that, and I have one too, which is really fun, that he said that his haiku box was picking up different warblers, because mine has been all week too, which has been really exciting. So you plug it in and you leave it outside, and it constantly listens to what's in your yard. So you don't have to physically be there to pick up what's being heard in your yard. And it'll make a list, and it's an app, almost like if you have one of those smart bird feeder cameras that you can access it all the time, and you can see what is coming to your feeder. The haiku box is kind of like that. It'll make a list of all the birds it hears. You can go back and you can listen to those calls. It'll give you stats on how often it hears the bird. It's really, really cool. So it sounds like that it was picking up a whole bunch of different birds, and Lee was able to take a picture of them. And so you can see a couple here. So the ones that he mentioned that he got the photo of, there's 2 of them here. The bay-breasted warbler is the one on the left. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse kind of circling it, but that is this bird sitting on top of this kind of reddish rock is the bay-breasted warbler. And then the one next to it is the Tennessee warbler. And I've been having the Tennessee warbler calling like crazy from my backyard for the past 3 days or so. It started on Thursday morning, and then yesterday it was still calling, and this morning it was still calling too. And I was able to actually see it too, which was really cool. So here's the bay-breasted warbler and the Tennessee warbler. And then here's a couple more photos of them. So there's the Tennessee warbler, and this photo is in the center. And then there's 2 bay-breasted warblers, one on either side. Really, really cool. And then here's the chestnut-sided warbler, which was just waiting in the wings, if you will. Looks like to join the fun in the pond there. So definitely lots of warbler activity, and this is a really great example of how water, especially moving water, can bring in some of these warblers. And Mark sent in some warbler action from his backyard. So he said, I had a Blackburnian warbler and a magnolia warbler, black-throated green, in my backyard. So he had 3 different warblers in his backyard. The Blackburnian, which is pictured here, which I'm very jealous of. I have yet to see one this season, although I keep looking for one. So he had that. I had my haiku box pick up a Blackburnian in my backyard, but I have not seen it. Here's the female Blackburnian. And he also had magnolia warbler. And here's some photos of that magnolia warbler. And then a black-throated green as well. A lot of people have been reporting the magnolia warblers over the past couple days. And here's a picture of one right here. And they almost have what's called a black necklace. And that kind of goes down into streaking on their breasts. So this is the magnolia warbler. And then this is an older picture, but again, showing how warblers can come to water. I think this was through a window, but these are Cape May warblers that are at a different water feature that were sent in by Michelle. So just going to show that the water really can bring in some of these birds. And then there's also feeders. So if you are trying to attract birds to feeders, first of all, you never know what's going to show up at an oriole feeder. We've had reports of northern parula, like this picture sent in by Lisa, coming to oriole feeders, black-throated blue warblers coming to oriole feeders. And then there's also sunflower hearts. And sunflower hearts are the things that warblers will sometimes eat, scarlet tanager will sometimes eat. They're the insides of the sunflower seed. And so most of the time, if it was just a sunflower seed, it would be hard for some of these smaller birds to crack it open with their little bills, but not the sunflower hearts, because it's just the inside of the seed. They can just scoop them right up and eat them. So if you are trying to attract warblers into your backyard, now is absolutely the time. I wouldn't wait too long because they're only around for so long. Especially voraciously hungry like this when they can't find enough insects to eat. But right now is when I would absolutely add sunflower hearts and mealworms, because they are mainly insect eaters. They will eat mealworms. They prefer live mealworms, but we also have the freeze-dried mealworms. So between these two, if you put them out in your yard, those are going to be your best bets of attracting them to come down further into your yard. I would highly suggest the live mealworms, just because the movement of them would probably bring them down more so than just the visual of the freeze-dried mealworms. So give it a whirl and let us know. I know some of you guys have been doing it. But then I thought, last week we talked about the warblers more in depth, but I thought I would show you again the warblers that are coming into the area, and starting off with the ones that people are hearing the most of right now. So right now, Tennessee warbler, there's a lot of them around. This is the one that I was mentioning I've been hearing every morning for the past 3 days, and this is the one that Lee had in his backyard water feature. So Tennessee warbler are definitely out there right now. And then the Cape May warbler. Some of my formatting is off here because I switched computers, but this is the Cape May warbler. This is another one that people are both seeing and hearing right now. This will be a good quiz for me because I can't read the text. So we'll see how good I am at my warblers. But then also the magnolia warbler is another one that people have been reporting a lot of over the past couple of days. And then the bay-breasted. So this is the one that Lee had in his water feature. He had 2 of them. Really, really cool. The other day I went out to Cobb's Hill and there was one singing like crazy. My haiku box picked up one of these in my yard. Haven't gotten eyes on one yet this year, but they are definitely flowing back into the area. This past week we've had lots of reports of bay-breasted warbler. Blackburnian warbler, another one that is flowing in. People are seeing that in different locations, Cobb's Hill, Thousand Acre Swamp if you're local. Those are good places to go looking for Blackburnian warbler, or even in your backyard, because this is one that Mark had the photo of that he had just sent in and I showed you earlier. Chestnut-sided warbler, people are reporting those. This is the other one that Lee had the photo of from his backyard. And then this is another one that's been getting picked up by a lot of people on their Merlins and on this. I had one of these on my haiku box, the blackpoll warbler. They are just flowing through. They're not as striped as the black and white warbler, that look for their bright orange feet, if you can get your eyes on them. And then the males have that black cap on the top of their head, kind of like a chickadee. So black-polled warbler, a lot of people are picking up their calls as well. And then there is the yellow-rumped warbler, which will be common all summer long. This is the black-throated green that Mark had mentioned he had seen in his backyard. I had one of them come up on my haiku box this past week too. If you're going in the woods, keep an eye out for ovenbird, another type of warbler. Northern water thrush, they are around, especially by kind of still water. So you can look for them by kind of like a marshy type area, or a swamp is a good place to look for northern water thrush. Golden winged warbler. And then there's the blue winged warbler. There's the black and white warbler, which will crawl up and down trees. Orange-crowned warbler, few reports of them locally. Nashville warbler. I had a morning warbler pop up on my Merlin the other day. So they are coming in. Common yellowthroat, they're pretty chatty. This is one of those birds that's kind of more low to the ground. So they usually aren't super high up in a tree, so it might be easier to get your eyes on this bird. The male have that black mask that covers their eyes, and the female doesn't have that, but she does have that bright yellow throat, so she's pretty distinctive as well. Hooded warbler. I've been seeing reports of hooded warbler online from people, both male and female. Lots of American redstart reports this week. I got to see one earlier in the week, a fleeting little glance of an American redstart. So they are back in the area. A couple reports of cerulean warbler. This is a more rare warbler, but they are coming through. Northern parula is another one. Yellow warbler, this is one that you'll probably hear all summer long. If you're experimenting with your Merlin app or your haiku box, you'll probably pick up quite a few yellow warbler. They're going to be chatty all summer long, and they're pretty easy to spot because they are so bright, and they tend to kind of perch right out in the open and sing their songs. Black-throated blue warbler, lots of reports of them recently. Palm warbler, we had lots of reports earlier on in the season. I haven't seen those in a couple weeks, but it could still be around. Pine warbler, same thing. Canada warbler, they are rolling in right now too. And they look similar to that magnolia warbler, where they've got the black streaking on their breast, but they're not going to have that band of the necklace like the magnolia warbler has. And they don't have that black mask either. And then Wilson's warbler, we actually had a couple reports of them over the past week too. A yellow warbler with, it almost looks like a toupee. They're wearing with a little black smudge on the top of their head, a little black on the top of their head. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging in there with my technical difficulties. I've got to get a new webcam because my microphone is broken on the one that I usually use. But thank you guys for tuning in. It looks like there's a couple comments here. Randy says, welcome back. Thank you. I was looking a little iffy there for a second, but I was able to switch to a computer that had a built-in webcam. So we're all good. Steel Monkey says, my first Oriole arrived on Mother's Day. He's been eating plenty of jelly and singing his tune, but he's all alone, no female in sight. So usually it seems that the males will show up first and then the females. So don't get discouraged. And so this is a really great example of, if you haven't seen an Oriole yet, Steel Monkey just got their first one on Mother's Day, so not even a week ago. So they are still flowing through and finding their food sources. They also say, I have plenty of birds that visit, but my problem is they're too quick for me to identify. I know the basic ones, but the different kinds of sparrows, forget it. And that's, you got to start somewhere. If you learn the basic ones, and if you learn the sparrows that you see the most, then when you see something new and you get a good look at it, if you can kind of learn that and learn how to identify that, then it just you just build your repertoire of the birds that you have learned over time. So that happens. Practice is always good. And it can really help to just get a bird book. I know with all the apps out there now, it's so easy to identify things with the apps, but if you get a book and flip through it, you'll be surprised at what actually goes into your head, and you might all of a sudden start to identify things without even realizing that you knew them. So I highly suggest getting any kind of bird book. There's some really good state specific ones. We carry the Birds of New York from Stan Tequila, which is super popular, and he has them for all over the place for all kinds of different states. And he's come for Florida, Carolinas, New Jersey. So wherever you are watching from, there's probably a state guide of birds for your area, and it can really, really help to identify them. Just flip through it here and there, and you'll be surprised what goes into your brain. So thank you guys for tuning in, for hanging in there with the technical difficulties. We'll be open all weekend long as we are. We've got the plant sale today until 4. I'm going to go check that out right now. And we've got the feeder cleaning clinic tomorrow going on, and we've got the birding cruises, which start on Tuesday. So Tuesdays is sold out, but like I said, we do still have some remaining tickets for the Colonial Belle birding cruise, which is an open top boat. So it should be really great for birding. And that is on May 29th. So that is our last spring cruise that we have tickets for. All the other ones are sold out. The summer ones are approaching sellout. So don't hesitate if you want the tickets. I'd hate for you to miss out on those. But we'll be back on Tuesday with another broadcast. And until then, have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.